There's a problem facing First Nation youth in New Brunswick. Many are graduating. Today, in what they're calling a landmark decision, 15 First Nations communities, Ottawa and the province, have managed to get together to try to solve that problem. Catherine Harrop has the story.
Chiefs of New Brunswick's First Nations, along with federal and provincial governments, smiled over their new agreement. An agreement that will see 50% of the tuition paid to the province for First Nation students earmarked to help First Nation students. Districts will be allotted that money along with an incentive to keep those students in school.
If a First Nation student drops out of school, the prorated amount of that money has to be returned to the Band Council. For the first time, school districts have an incentive, a financial incentive, an imperative to keep First Nation students into school.
Half of New Brunswick's First Nation students drop out before graduation. Indian and Northern Affairs Minister Chuck Strahl says the federal government will dig into a $70 million fund to help out band-run schools as well.
Today we're taking an important step towards stronger schools, better outcomes, and a brighter future for First Nations students in New Brunswick.
The future might be brighter for these First Nations students, but the present state of their school doesn't look too promising. A school where water damage and mold growth has mothers concerned and the Band Council calling for a new school. A promise they say they've had for over 5 years from the Department of Indian and Northern Affairs Canada. Minister Chuck Strahl says the band's bad financial situation and governance issues have complicated things. But he said he spoke to Tobec's chief, Gerald Bear, this morning.
Everyone now has obviously said that students, important to get it right for the students' sake. All those other issues are reality, so that we can't avoid. So this meeting coming up, bringing out a very senior official from Ottawa to deal with it, to look at options on infrastructure financing.
That meeting is scheduled for next week. In the meantime, the school awaits word on a building inspection, but says no one has contacted them yet. Catherine Harrop, CBC News, Fredericton.
Now to another